All right, if you're in the mortgage world, you know there are a ton of rules. But there's one law that's at the very core of every single interaction you have with a client. I'm talking about the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, or ECO. And let me tell you, getting this right isn't just a good idea, it's the law. So today, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know to make sure you're keeping things fair and staying compliant. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with what ECOA actually is. Then we'll dive into the big don'ts, the stuff you absolutely can't base a decision on. From there, we'll cover the rules and disclosures you have to follow, how to evaluate applicants the right way, and finally, we'll look at what happens if you don't. And trust me, the penalties are serious.
Okay, let's get right into it. First up, what exactly is ECOA? Well, you can think of it as the bedrock, the absolute foundation of fair lending in the United States.
So, here's the deal. ECOA, which you'll also hear called Regulation B, is all about creating a level playing field. It's that simple. It basically says that if someone is creditworthy, they deserve an equal shot at getting credit. And this isn't just about the final yes or no, it covers the entire process, from the moment they apply to the day a decision is made.
All right, now for the really crucial part. Let's talk about the don'ts. These are the lines you can never cross when you're making a lending decision. We call them the prohibited bases.
Look at this list. These are the absolute non-negotiables. You cannot base a credit decision on someone's race, color, religion, where they're from, their sex, which, by the way, includes sexual orientation and gender identity, their marital status, or their age, as long as they're old enough to sign a contract. And two more big ones, you can't discriminate because someone gets public assistance income or because they've used their rights under consumer protection laws. These factors, completely off the table, period. And this is where things get really, really specific. It's not just about your final decision, it's about the actual words you use. For instance, when it comes to marital status, you are only allowed to use 3 terms: married, unmarried, or separated. That's it. And you absolutely cannot ask about a spouse unless they are actually on the application with your client. Okay, so we've covered the don'ts. Now, let's flip the script and talk about the do's. The things that ECO actually requires you to do. These are your non-negotiable responsibilities. And when it comes to timing, you've got to be on the ball. As soon as you get a completed application, a 30-day clock starts ticking. Within those 30 days, you have to let the applicant know what's up, whether it's an approval, a denial, or even a counteroffer. This really gets to the core of what this law is all about: transparency. If you have to deny an application, you can't just say, "Nope, sorry." You have to give them what's called an adverse action notice, and it has to spell out these specific reasons why. This is so important because it tells the applicant what happened, what their rights are, and even names the federal agency they can go to if there's a problem. Now, the rules for appraisals, they're just as strict, especially for first lien loans. It's a simple 3-step dance. Step 1, within 3 business days of the application, you have to tell them they have a right to get a copy of the appraisal. Step 2, as soon as that appraisal is finished, you've got to give them a copy, right away. And step 3, you have to make sure they get that copy at least 3 business days before the deal closes. No wiggle room on that one. All right, so this brings us to the main event, the real heart of your job, evaluating the applicant. How do you take all these rules and actually apply them to make sure your decisions are totally fair and impartial? This right here, this is the mantra. It's the guiding principle of everything we're talking about. Every lending decision you make has to be based on one thing and one thing only: the applicant's qualifications. Anything else, it's not just a bad idea, it is legally out of bounds. So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, for starters, you have to consider all verifiable income and you have to treat it all equally. You can't just decide to discount income because it comes from, say, alimony, child support, or public assistance. It's all just income. It also means you use the exact same underwriting standards for every single person who comes to you, no exceptions. And you never, ever require a co-signer because of a prohibitive factor, like their age or marital status. Okay, let's talk about the bottom line, the consequences. Because following these rules isn't just about best practices, it's about protecting yourself and your business from some really severe financial penalties. $10,000. That's the number to remember for an individual action. If someone sues you for discrimination under ECOA and they win, a court can hit a lender with up to $10,000 in punitive damages. And that's for just one violation. And if you think that's a lot, what happens if it's a class action lawsuit? Well, that number just explodes. We're talking up to $500,000 or 1% of the creditor's net worth, whichever is less. These aren't just fines. These are numbers that can literally alter a business forever.
So, at the end of the day, ECOA gives us the rulebook. It tells us what we have to do. But being a truly great MLO, an ethical professional, that means going beyond just checking the boxes. It's about embracing the spirit of the law. So the question you should be asking yourself with every single file isn't just, am I compliant? It's this, am I doing everything in my power to be truly and completely fair? Think about that.